Well, good afternoon and welcome to the meeting on the 6th Street Viaduct Park, also known as the 6th Street Bridge Park and Proposition 68. Today is Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021. And this is a meeting hosted by the Department of Recreation and Parks and the Bureau of Engineering in partnership with the Office of Councilmember Kevin DeLeon, as well as the Department of Cultural Affairs. My name is Stephen Tran from the Department of Recreation and Parks. And I welcome you to the 5th meeting on the 6th Street Bridge Park for Proposition 68 grant funding. Now, today's meeting is found on Zoom as well as a live stream on Facebook Live. At the conclusion, we will upload this video and this meeting to our YouTube channel. I'd like to go over some of the meeting guidelines with you. First thing we'd like you to do is sign in, and we'd like you to do it now at your earliest convenience. Yumi will provide you with a link in the chat box that will take you to the sign-in sheet. It's very short and will help us keep track of attendance, which is very important for the grant application. Now, later on, we're going to have a questions and answers section after the presentation. And during that questions and answers section, we'll have members of the Department of Cultural Affairs assist us in answering your questions. And if you'd like to ask questions at any time during this presentation, feel free to do so. Just type your questions, whether it's in Spanish or English, in the chat box, and we will go ahead and read them out loud one by one during the questions and answers section. When we are done with your questions in the chat box and we answer them, we will reserve 10 minutes for live public comments where you can speak for 1 minute. And at the end of this meeting, we'd like you to complete a survey to let us know how we're doing and also to be able to record your answer for the presentation question on arts and culture. This is now the 5th meeting. We've had 4 other meetings on this 6th Street Bridge project. Tonight's focus is on arts and culture. And our last meeting will be next Monday, February 8th. And we'll have an overview of the east side of the park in partnership with the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council. Joining us also during that presentation is our partners at Cedars-Sinai, who will provide you with a brief presentation on the benefits of park usage from a health perspective. And I'd like to welcome tonight's panelists. So we have Nate Hayward, the Capital Projects Director from the Office of Councilmember Kevin DeLeon. From the Bureau of Engineering, we have Gary Lamb, the Senior Civil Engineer. And from the Department of Rec and Parks, we have Daryl Ford, a Superintendent of Planning, Construction, and Maintenance. Craig Rains, a Landscape Architect, again from the Planning, Construction, and Maintenance section. From the Rec and Parks Grants Administration, we have Bill Jones, our Chief Management Analyst. I'm Stephen Tran, the Senior Management Analyst, and Yumi Sangen, Management Assistant. And interpreting for us in Spanish today from Barbier International is Eduardo Herrera. And to go over tonight's agenda, so first we'll have an opening remark from Nate Hayward from CD14. And then we'll have, I'll give you an overview of Proposition 68 guidelines, including results from the 3rd round. And then we'll have an overview of the park project by Gary Lamb. Craig Rains is going to give you basically an overview of the arts and culture component of this project. And then we'll end with the questions and answers and the survey section. The first thing I'd like to do is introduce you to Nate Hayward from the Office of Councilmember Kevin DeLeon. Hi, Nate.
Hi, thank you so much, Stephen. I really appreciate you taking the time to introduce me and give a good overview of why we're here tonight. So thank you all so much for coming. I'm sorry, I'm just dealing with a kid thing there. And um, today is a real opportunity for you all to provide feedback about the importance of public art in the 6th Street Bridge Park. One of the great things about this grant, and that's something that'll be gotten into a little more detail later about the requirements for it, is the ability to include public art and the ability to think about public art and recreation as one cohesive unit and not something that are two things that are kept separately. One of the key things that the city has tried to do with this park is to ensure that there is an opportunity for that integration. So tonight is an opportunity for you all to learn about the opportunities, particularly on the east side of the park, for that integration, for what types of public art can be included and how that will best fit in the context of the overall park. Prop 68 was created as part of a bill, Senate Bill 5, which was authored by Councilmember De Leon when he was in the state legislature. So parks and culture and art are very, very important to him, which is why he's very excited to see the community participation and people excited about securing more funds for these types of improvements. So it asks that listen to the presentation. Please ask questions, as many as you like. We're here to provide answers for your ideas about how we can incorporate public art. We would love to hear them because this park is for the community. The goal is for it to be created from the vision of the community and not by an outside vision, but something that really reflects the character and need and the cultural fabric of the communities of the Arts District on one side and Boyle Heights on the other. So please sit back, relax, and ask your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nate. So why are we here tonight? We're here to inform you of this Proposition 68 funding opportunity, and this is the last round. We also want you to know that we will submit a Proposition 68 grant application for the 6th Street Bridge Park. And we want to present, this park project that's associated with the 6th Street Bridge. And, we want to certainly engage you in this process for you to provide us with your feedback, your ideas, and your comments on what you see and what you'd like to see in this park. So from the last 4 meetings, this is a summary of what we heard from the community after watching the slides, after attending the meetings. So you've indicated to us that you like certain playground features that are age specific, including slides. You like to see bench with certain designs. You've provided examples such as whether or not you want dividers, colors, ergonomics, and reclining back features. In terms of fitness area, you mentioned strength, aerobic and track, and more fitness equipment. You've also indicated that you'd like more colorful designs. Now, in terms of arts and culture themes, which we will delve into further tonight, you've indicated that certain cultures are significant for this park, including the Tongva culture, Latino, Japanese, folklore, nature, animal themes. You also told us you wanted to see native plants. We presented in a meeting specifically on the skate park, and you've told us that you'd like to see ramps, community boards, and more features such as trash cans and shower facilities. So the list continues. To give you an overview of the Proposition 68 grant guidelines, so the objective here is to create new parks and new recreation opportunities in critically underserved communities. This Proposition 68 was passed by 57% of voters on June 5th of 2018. And this is the 4th and final round of this Proposition 68 grant program. At stake here is $395 million, designated for the 4th and final round. So this is what all the agencies that are interested in applying are competing for. And yes, this is a competitive grant, which means that there is no guarantee that we will receive funding for this project. We feel that this is a strong project, and as part of the application, we are here to essentially let the community chime in to further enhance and further guide this process. Now, the maximum amount of grant available per project is $8.5 million. So that is the maximum amount for each grant. Now, the applications are due on March 12th of 2021. And should we receive a grant, that the project itself has to be complete by March of 2025. And I also want to add that the grant is specifically for capital projects. So as you will see, when we go through the project with you, you'll see examples of what that means. The grant is not here to pay for programs and recreational activities or artistic activities. So I just want to let you know, because there will be some slides that suggest that that there will be, but in fact, we are presenting to you examples of activities that can happen when we build certain improvements in capital infrastructure. Now, from the last round, which was the third round, the state received 478 applications, requesting a total of $2.3 billion. And out of that $2.3 billion, about $255 million was available for grant awards. The average grant request was 4.8, meaning the average application asked for 4.8, and the average grant award was 4.1. Out of the 478 applications received, the state awarded grants to 62 of those applications. How many new parks were created? Out of the 62 awarded grant projects, 28 were for new parks, 14 were for expansion of existing parks, and 20 are for renovations. So this project, the 6th Street Park, is in fact a brand new park, which is the priority for the state. Now, what are some of the eligibility criteria? The project must have at least one recreation feature. And as you will see, we have plenty. Now, the applications have to meet one or two of these two criteria. This is to essentially support the fact that this community is underserved in terms of the objectives of this grant. So in this particular case, the community within half a mile of the project has to have 3 acres or less of parkland for 1,000 people, or the household median income is $56,982 or below. Now, in this particular project, we actually hit both, because we have far less than 3 acres per 1,000 people. We have 0.32 acres, which is less than 1 acre. And we also have 54,325 as the median household income, which is less than 56,000. And now I'd like to hand the presentation over to Gary Lamb, a senior civil engineer who happens to be the project manager for this project from the Bureau of Engineering. Hi, Gary.
Hi, thank you, Stephen. Good evening, everybody. And thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to attend tonight's meeting. I'm going to go ahead and give you a broad overview of the PARC project in terms of where it is now, as well as a very brief status update of the much larger 6th Street Viaduct project. So the 6th Street Viaduct project is presently in 60%, 60% completed with construction. And the Viaduct team is anticipating that they will complete construction by summer of 2022. It is our goal to also start the construction of the PARC project immediately after the viaduct's completed. So we're planning to start in summer of 2022 with the PARC project. And construction will be approximately 24 months, all right? So where is the PARC project now? It's currently in design, and we're 90% design, and we're bringing back our consultant team, Tetra Tech, to help us complete the design this year, okay? So next slide, please. All right, so how is the PARC project currently funded? So right now, the project is funded by City MICLA funds, which is Municipal Improvement Corporation of LA. We've got Proposition K funding, and that's specific funding for the sports field lighting. We have funding from the former CRA-LA, which is called the Excess Bond Proceeds Funds. And this money is used for the East Park. We have transfer of floor area rights, or TFAR monies. And then the next two here, the Metropolis grant is strictly for the soccer field component. And then finally, we have the Leonard Hill grant for the West Park Arts Plaza. Okay. And we're hoping to get the Prop 68 funding added to this list as well. Okay, and that's why we're here. All right, so how did we get to this point in terms of the design? Back in 2017, our consultant team in the city, we solicited multiple feedback from community members. We held a total of 6 large community meetings on both sides of the river and got everyone's feedback in terms of what they want to see in the park. The surveys were done in certain categories, we're having certain categories as you see here on your screen, looking at certain things like health and wellness, what types of sports and games, what kind of social gatherings people want to see, nature and beauty categories, as you can see up here on the slides. Next slide, please. And so we gathered everyone's feedback and tabulated the results and looked at the priorities among the community members in terms of what the top 3 were from each category, as you see here. And tonight's meeting is, of course, on arts and culture. So you see in the arts and culture category, a lot of folks wanted to see like music type events, of course, movies and performance spaces, all right? Next slide, please. And so as we've pursued a Prop 68 funding, things that we can apply to the Prop 68 funding are as follows. We can apply it to a future skate park, some more landscaping. We can definitely use the money on the flex courts, which is a volleyball and basketball court, barbecue and picnic areas, restrooms that we have on both sides, general landscape lighting, the outdoor fitness equipment that we talked about in one of the meetings, the play equipment as well, and arts and cultural elements that we're going to focus on tonight. We talked about the splash pad at one of the previous meetings. We could definitely use the funding for the soccer fields, general walking paths, and the performance flex fields that we have in the park. Next slide, please. All right, so this is the overview of the park project as it is right now. It's a total of approximately 12 acres, around 7 acres of which is on the east side. So the east part has the larger share of the park here. And the park is broken up into 4 general areas. We call it on West Park, Arts Plaza, River Gateway, and East Park, going from left to right there. Okay. And then next, we're going to go ahead and zoom into the different spaces so that we can, so I can show you what the current design looks like. Next slide, please. All right, so we're going to go from left to right here. So starting from the West Park area, what's cut off here is the very left end, which is the entry point from Mateo Street. So in very far left here would be Mateo Street. That's the entrance into the West Park area. And in this area, we have the ramp that comes up and down from the 6th Street Viaduct, as well as just general landscape areas, a dog park in this area here. And then you see in the yellow rectangular area there, just right underneath the viaduct, that's going to be a future cafe building, like a vendor type building, as well as a public restroom. And then as we cross the street from Santa Fe over to the railroad tracks there, we've got our Arts Plaza. This is the donation from the Leonard Hill Charitable Trust to develop this Arts Plaza here. Okay, so you see the stage over there, and then just south of the stage, you've got the terraced seating area. Okay. All right. Next slide, please. So this is just our designer Hargraves. They produced the renderings for this. And there's just a rendering that was done that shows the performance space at the Arts Plaza. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we're jumping over the river into the East Park area. The East Park area has a lot more of the active recreational space, as you'll see here. Between the railroad tracks and the Mission Road here on the left side of your screen, or the slide rather, this is the area where the Viaduct's helical ramp comes down. As you can see, this grayish oval shape here, that's reserved for a future skate park. Okay, so the park as this presently being designed right now does not include this skate park, but we are reserving the space for the future skate park. Hopefully we can fund it with the Prop 68 monies. All right, so as we move eastward here between Mission Road and Anderson Street is the large active area of the park really right here. So you've got a U8 and U10 synthetic turf field, that's in the dark green there. We've got some, and to the southeast of there, you've got the first performance / flexible play field. So it's a multi-purpose field used for any type of sport recreation event or social and cultural event. And then as we move eastward, we've got our basketball court, volleyball court area. Just south of there, we've got the children's play area and the splash pad. And then the two gray egg-shaped structures that you see right there, one's going to be a Rec and Parks office building, staff building, and the other one's going to be a public restroom building. Okay, and then as we cross the street over between Anderson and Clarence Street, in these areas here, we've got some more picnic table and grilling areas, some more landscaped rain garden areas, as well as the plans for the adult fitness area here. And then we also have our second flex field performance space area. So this one's, so we have our second multi-purpose field in this area as well. And then finally, as we make our way to the easternmost section of the park between Clarence Street and the 101 freeway, we've got a dog park in this area. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of the park at that point. Next slide, please. And so we have some additional renderings that were also done by Hargraves here for the park. This one shows the synthetic turf field. You can see how there's some seating areas for spectators to watch the soccer play here. We've got the sports field lighting for nighttime play. And then you can see the viaduct coming over the field in the background there. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is a rendering that was done to just simply show the area between Clarence and Anderson here. You can see those oval shapes that is part of the overall theme of the park here. Next slide, please. And this one's a rendering just showing a diagram or conceptually how the children's splash pad and play area can look like. Okay, the next slide, please. All right, so we're at meeting number 5 tonight. That's where we're going to talk about arts and culture, dive deep into arts and culture. And I just want to show you where we were with our first 4 meetings here, the focus areas here for the first 4 meetings. Meeting number 1, we looked at the West Park area, just south of Mesquite. in terms of what folks wanted to see in that area. Meeting number 2 focused on the area between Clarence and Anderson, seeing what kind of additional opportunities people want to see in those oval spaces. Meeting number 3, we looked at the skate park features that folks wanted to see. Meeting number 4 just talked about the features people liked at the splash pad and playground areas. And of course, tonight is meeting number 5. And then meeting number 6 would just talk about, I think, the East Park at large, a general discussion with the neighborhood council. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Craig Rains of the Department of Rec. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I get there, I've got 3 more slides actually. All right, so speaking of arts and culture, what can we envision having in terms of various events at the park? These are just illustrations and examples of what we can envision seeing. Again, all these beautiful slides were done by our consultant Hargraves. So in this first vision here of the event space, we can definitely hold like a weekly farmers market here in those areas between, say, Mission Road and Anderson. Next slide, please. And then those spaces such as the flex field that I talked about can be configured to have various movie nights, like the summer movie nights, as you can see here, where you can just set up a portable screen, movable screen, and people can sit on the lawn areas and enjoy a nice evening at the movies. Next slide, please. And then, of course, that flexible play field can house various cultural events, as you can see here. So this is just a concept of how the event space can be configured here. So you've got a stage area at the multi-purpose field, and then various food vendors would be located around that space, as well as some food trucks that can pull into the space along Anderson Street there. Okay. All right, I think I'm done with these slides. Okay, so now I would like to introduce Craig Rains of the Department of Rec and Parks, just to give us a flavor of some of the art components, just examples really of what can be envisioned for the spaces here or for the park. Craig?
Thank you, Gary. Wonderful presentation, and I think the brief kind of discussion, or not discussion, mention you have of the cultural possible events is a really kind of good mechanism to tie in what you would like to see, and that's what we're here for, to get what you want to see in your park as far as art. But it's also a good opportunity here to kind of tie in, and give it a unifying theme. The landscape architect Hargraves had ovals and objects as sort of the overall thematic. But I think what we're seeing here is an opportunity for you to contribute to what the theme would be, and then how that theme would be sort of displayed. And what you're seeing right here is a very common way to bring art into space. You have tile mosaics, murals, things of that nature. Next slide. And then you also have, here it's a great opportunity to take a look at sort of the overall space. I'm talking basically from the ground to the underside of the bridge. That is the park space. And this would be a great opportunity to get from you, how you want to see the art component treated. Can it be something more vertical? Can it be broader social contacts? Or, do you want to be, specifically towards the Boyle Heights and even the art districts? I mean, that's what we need to hear from you guys. I mean, we're here just to facilitate and orchestrate what you want to see in your park. Next. And here's a real good common component in these type of spaces, and this works with implementing, Gary had indicated that we have these flex performance spaces. Well, what kind of performances would you like to see in those spaces? Some light show, music, dance, poetry, all that kind of stuff. It's all possible, but they could have a particular sort of design requirement or needs. And so if we can identify those at this point, it would really greatly be beneficial and for us to achieve what you guys want to see. Next. Well, what type of arts and cultural elements do you want to see? And remember, what we're beholden to the grant is they have to be capital improvements, but it could be capital improvements to space that will facilitate, dance or, spoken word or, electronica or, anything or music or anything. And it could be flexible enough to handle all the different kind of performances. So this, we definitely need to hear what you want to see. And then also tying in thematically, I mentioned earlier, the Boyle Heights, the Arts District. There's a lot of culture here. There's a lot of history. And we want to make sure that we get your input on how that should be, taken into account at this part. Next. All right, I guess that was brief. And also too, just remember, you could put the art pieces, we're not constricted to those performance spaces, but the art pieces could be throughout the park. And one of the areas could be, there's a lot of areas it could be in, but it could be, used as a unifying kind of another unifying element. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Craig. So we have arrived at the questions and answers section. And so at this point, we'd like to answer whatever questions you may have. You can just type your questions or your comments in the chat box, and we'll go ahead and read them one by one. And we'll give you a couple minutes. Let's see. And just to remind you, once the meeting is complete, we will upload the meeting along with the survey onto the our YouTube channel, so you can rewatch it, or you can forward our YouTube page to your friends and family for their viewership. So we'll wait, and see what questions we get. So the first one is, the previous staff had convened a group of folks from various grassroots and nonprofit arts and culture efforts to ensure that equitable use of the park was fundamental to this project, as well as having any public art built into the design of the park, and future opportunities such as murals be something that is truly accessible to the community. Will this project, or can this project, have a formal steering committee to ensure this deep level of equity?
Yeah, this is Nate from the council office. I can respond to that. I think the city has every intent of having that type of local oversight and engagement in the park process. I think there's two factors. One factor is permanent physical art installations, and the second thing is rotating art programming, et cetera, right? So from a grant perspective, we're looking at, okay, are there places where people want physical art components, that are something that's permanent, right? That stays. On the other hand, from a programming aspect point of view, how does the community, provide advice, engagement, sort of help oversee the level of programming that can be done? For example, are there festivals, or are there, like was mentioned, the ability to put murals in different places, such as rotating mural walls, et cetera. So I think that, we see this as sort of a two-part process. One is the capital component, the permanent public art installations, whatever they may be and whatever sort of art medium they're in. If the city does get this grant, there is the opportunity, which if Cultural Affairs wants to talk about, they can if they want, but there is the opportunity for a panel to engage to help select public art that's chosen, just like we're going to be doing at the 318 North Matthews Street Park in Boyle Heights. I don't know if Cultural Affairs, if there's anything you guys want to add to that, or?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Hi, Nate. And I'm not sure if this is a gentleman who was at the meeting that was held at the Boyle Heights Youth Arts Center a number of years ago. If you are, one of the individuals who was at that meeting, I remember it fondly, and there were some really great ideas that came out of that meeting in terms of, a set of artists who had particular skills to sort of engage the community in using some, culturally specific and authentic processes. And we still have the notes from that meeting. I think that they are extremely relevant. That process is very relevant and should be resurrected and put back on the table as a process for looking at those issues of equity and how we can sort of formulate what the actual art components should be. So I think what we have before us, at least, what's shown on the slides are sort of the themes and ideas about what people would like to see within the community, but then the next step of what form those ideas and those themes take is ripe for a process and a methodology that sort of articulates what your comment asks for. So I'm not sure if you're that guy, but if you are, it was a great meeting, great ideas came out of it, and we should not shelve them.
And Felicia, just for the purpose of the recording, can you just briefly identify yourself and what you do?
Sure. My name is Felicia Filer, and I'm Director of the Public Art Division for the Department of Cultural Affairs.
Thank you. So we'll wait for any more questions that you may have. Yumi, do we have any Facebook Live question?
There are currently no Facebook Live questions.
Okay. So since we don't have any more question or comment, we'd like to move to the public comment section. So if you'd like to speak live for a minute, please raise your hands and let us know. So we'll wait for a few seconds and see if anybody's interested. So we have one person.
Joel Garcia, I see your hand raised. As a reminder, you will have 1 minute to address our panelists. You may begin.
Hi, this is Joe Garcia, and I hope I'm not taking I'm not the only one commenting. But yes, that was me who was at that meeting at the Boyle Heights Tech Center. And from that meeting, what I remember as far as like physical structures that could be built in, we talked about having some of the benches around the park be opportunities to have like mosaic tile murals on them that speak to the history of that area beyond Boyle Heights, like, considering the First Nations of Los Angeles as well. And where possible, having spaces for larger murals, so having that built in so that it takes on, kind of the opportunities that to give a comparison like Chicano Park down in San Diego, something along those lines. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll wait for any more questions you may have in the chat box or through live public comment. Okay. I don't see any more. Do we have any on Facebook Live, Yumi?
No, there are no questions on Facebook Live, Stephen.
Okay. Well, if you think of any more, just let us know before the conclusion. At this point, I'd like to invite Nate to provide us with a closing remark for today's meeting. Nate?
And thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Joel, and everybody else who provided feedback. This park is a once in a lifetime opportunity to bring much needed open space to areas of the city that have not had that open space. Boyle Heights in particular, I think it's sort of a metaphor for how the community has had to deal with open space. The 5 freeway goes right through Hollenbeck Park and literally through Hollenbeck Lake. And an opportunity to bring in this much open space, almost 7 acres on the east side in Boyle Heights, really provides the city an opportunity to start fresh and really provide the experience that the community wants to see. And there's many different stakeholders in the community, families, of youth, et cetera, people who want to have many different experiences, and public art is a key to that experience. So we really want to make sure that the community is invested in this project in terms of creating that stakeholder advisor group that's been talked about. I think the city is very open to that. But I want to stress there's sort of there's the 2-part process of ongoing programming and then capital construction that will be constructed as part of the grant in public art. So if the city does get the grant, we'll obviously be coming back for more discussions on permanent public art pieces. Either way, we will continue to have those discussions about programming and how that can work with all the various uses at the park, from kids wanting to play soccer to people wanting to have festivals. So we encourage you, please stay engaged. Please come out to any future meetings that we have. Attendance is very important, and we really want to make sure that we are able to secure this funding for Boyle Heights and the Arts District. Thank you, Stephen, and thank you to Craig and Gary for your great presentation, Felicia for your comments for Cultural Affairs, and we look forward to future engagement with the community on this project.
Thank you, Nate. So I'd just like to remind you at this time to complete our survey and just to let us know how we're doing. Let us know what your ideas are, any comments. And the one thing that the survey does is that it will collect all your responses, and we can have that for our use. And just to go over our schedule again, this was our 5th meeting for the 6th Street Bridge Park, and we looked at arts and culture. Now our next meeting, our 6th meeting, will be on Monday, February 8th at 6 p.m. And we will go and do an overview of the East Side, have a general discussion. This will be in partnership with the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council. And we will also be joined by our partners at Cedars-Sinai, and they will do a presentation on the community health benefits of park usage. And so at this time, I just like to thank you for joining us. And on behalf of our family here at the Recon Parks, Bureau of Engineering, CD14, and Department of Cultural Affairs, we wish you just a wonderful evening. Thank you very much.